Hi there. Today is Wednesday, January 15th, 2025, and you are joining me, Robin, with In the Family Way Coaching for our day by day Bible reading. We are going to be reading through the entire Bible in 1 year, and we are using our day by day Kids Bible. If you have not already taken out your calendar, get that calendar out and put your sticker on because you're about to read the Bible for today. I have my sticker on my calendar there, and it's getting pretty full. We are halfway through this month. There are 31 days this month, and we are about halfway done with our first month. So good job, everybody, for reading every day so far. I wanted to let everybody know, too, that on my site, in thefamilywaycoaching.com, I have added a family album page where you can see pictures of Scooby, as well as pictures of Kitty and Godzilla, our yellow-necked parrot. They are all my fuzzy, furry, feathery family. And I hope you enjoy looking at their pictures. They bring us a lot of love and joy in our family, and we love to share that with you. So let's get started on our daily reading. We are going to be reading about dreams today. You remember Joseph had dreams, and now we're going to see other people having dreams. Our dream stories come to us today from Genesis 40 and 41. I wanted to talk a moment about Joseph and his age at the time. So when Joseph was first taken as a captive, when his brothers sold him into slavery, the Bible tells us in our story that he was 17 years old. And now he's 30. So during that amount of time, he was sold and he worked for the king's captain's guard's house. And now he's been in jail for some time as well. So I just wanted to give us a timeline as to how much time has passed in our story so far. So here we are, two strange dreams in Genesis 40. One day, two new men were sent to jail. One was the man who took the king his drinks. He was a waiter. The other was the king's baker, and they had made the king angry. That's why he put them in jail. One night, the baker and waiter both had dreams. The next morning, Joseph came to see them, and he could tell that they were upset. So he asked them, "Why are you sad today?" "It's because of our dreams," they said. "There's no one here to tell us what our dreams mean." "God can tell what dreams mean," said Joseph. "Tell me what you dreamed." The waiter said, "My dream was about a vine. There were 3 branches on it. The vine had buds, they turned into flowers, then grapes grew, and I held the king's cup. I put grape juice into the cup, and then I gave it to the king." "Here's what your dream means," said Joseph. "The 3 branches mean 3 days. In 3 days, the king will let you out of jail, and you will get to give him drinks again. You will see the king. Please tell him about me. See if you can get me out of jail too. I did not do anything wrong, and I shouldn't be in here." Now the baker saw that the waiter's dream was good, so he told Joseph his dream too. 3 baskets of bread were on my head. The top basket held bread for the king, but birds came and ate the bread up. "Here is what your dream means," said Joseph. "The 3 baskets mean 3 days. In 3 days from now, the king will hang you, and you will die, and birds will eat your body." So 3 days went by, and it was the king's birthday, so he had a party. He took the waiter and the baker out of jail. He gave the waiter his old job back, but he hanged the baker. It went just the way Joseph said it was. But the waiter didn't tell the king about Joseph, as he forgot. Genesis 41, the king's dreams. 2 years passed. One night the king of Egypt had a dream. He dreamed that he stood by the Nile. 7 fat cows came up out of the river. They ate the plants that grew by the bank. Then 7 ugly, thin cows came out of the river. They ate up the 7 fat cows. The king woke up from his dream, but he went back to sleep, and he had another dream. 7 good, fat heads of wheat grew up. They grew on one stem. Then 7 thin heads of wheat came up, and the thin heads of wheat ate up the fat wheat. The king woke up again. The next morning, the king was upset. He called for the men who could do magic. He called for his wise men, and he told them his dreams. But no one could tell him what they meant. Then the waiter remembered. He remembered Joseph. He said to the king, "Ah, I remember now. You were angry with me and the baker, and you sent us to jail. We both had dreams. There was another man in jail, and he told us the meaning of our dreams. Things happened just the way he said they would." So the king called for Joseph. Joseph shaved, he put on clean clothes, then he came to the king. "I had a dream," said the king. "No one can tell me what it means, and I heard that you can tell what dreams mean." "I can't," said Joseph, "but God can." So the king told Joseph about the fat and thin cows. He told Joseph about the fat and thin wheat. Joseph said, "Both your dreams mean the same thing. God is showing you what he is going to do. The 7 fat cows and the fat wheat are the same. They mean 7 years. Lots of food will grow in those 7 years. The 7 thin cows and the thin wheat are the same. They mean 7 more years, and no food will grow then. So first, this land will have 7 years of enough food. Then there will be 7 years of no food. This will happen right away, so you should find a wise man and put him in charge of Egypt. Save food that grows in good years. Then later, the people can eat the food that they saved." Now the king liked Joseph's idea, and he said, "God has told you this. You are the wisest of all, so you will be in charge of my palace. So you will be in charge, and everyone will obey you. I will be the only one greater than you. You'll be in charge of all the land of Egypt." The king took his own ring off of his finger, and he put it on Joseph's finger. He gave Joseph fine clothes. He gave him a gold chain to wear around his neck. He let Joseph ride in a chariot. There were men who ran in front of Joseph's chariot, and they called out, "Make room! Make room!" The king even chose a wife for Joseph. Now Joseph was 30 years old. He took many trips around Egypt for 7 years, and plenty of food grew. So Joseph told the people to gather the food. They saved it in their cities, and they saved it for the time when no food would grow. Joseph made the people save lots of wheat. There was so much, it was like sand by the sea. In fact, they stopped counting how much they had because they couldn't even measure it. Now Joseph and his wife had 2 sons. And Joseph said, "God has let me forget my troubles." So he called his first son Manasseh. Joseph said, "God has sent good things to me." So he called his next son Ephraim. But one day, the 7 good years were over. No food would grow, and all the other lands ran out of food. But there was still food in Egypt, and that's because they had saved it. Joseph let people buy wheat. He even let people from other lands come to buy wheat. And that's because their fields grew no crops. And that's the end of our reading today. So we see that it took a little bit of time, and Joseph was still waiting in jail. And at the right time, God sent dreams to the king, and he was troubled by those dreams. And it was at that time that the waiter remembered that Joseph had told both he and the baker about their dreams. And what's awesome is that Joseph, when he was called by the king to interpret the dreams, he did not take the glory for knowing the dreams. He said, "I can't tell you what the dreams mean." but God can. And so when he told the king about what the dreams meant, the king acknowledged, God has told you this. And he put Joseph in charge of everything. And so both Joseph and the king obeyed what God was telling them. And it was very gracious of God to provide for the people this way. Now, if Joseph had not been sold into slavery by his brothers, then he could not have had this opportunity to be in jail, even. And we say opportunity, and even though it doesn't seem like an opportunity, God took the bad thing that happened to Joseph and he used it for good. He put Joseph in just the right place so that he would be there when he sent the dream to the king at the right time. So I want us to remember that as we are going through our thoughts of our lessons, of remembering that God uses everything for good. And it might be a while before we see that good. And it might be quite a long time that we are waiting. And it might seem that people are letting us down. But God's timing is ever perfect. And He will bring things around in just the right time. It may not be the time that we want it, but it will be the right time. And of course, God will work it into good. And we will see more good that comes from Joseph having been sold by his brothers into slavery and being sent to jail. We will read about that in the next coming days. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you're excited by the story and you can't wait to see what happens with Joseph if you don't remember or know, and see what God is going to be doing for them. These are wonderful stories that I want to remind us that God told to Moses to write down because we didn't know about them. And God gave them to Moses. He wrote them down, and he gave us the first 5 books of the Old Testament. And that is how we know these stories, is because God told Moses this story about what he did with Jacob and with Joseph. And I just wanted us to remember that. The reason we know this is because God has told us. So thank you for joining me here today, whether you are watching via YouTube or whether you are watching on my site or whether you are listening through a podcast. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day.